Washington Grown is brought to you by the Potato Farmers of Washington. Learn why Washington is home to the world's most productive potato fields and farmers by visiting potatoes.com. And by the Washington State Department of Agriculture, supporting the viability and vitality of Washington agriculture. And by Northwest Farm Credit Services, supporting agriculture and rural communities with reliable, consistent credit and financial services today and tomorrow.
Hi everyone, I'm Christy Goranson in a bee suit today, and welcome to Washington Grown. The agriculture in our state is powered by a lot of hard workers. We have the farmers, laborers, transportation workers, and many, many others. But today's episode is about one of ag's hardest workers of all, the humble honeybee. I'm getting up close and personal with some bees.
Yeah.
Do they smell fear?
You know, they communicate by smell. Okay. And so does fear smell?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Okay. Then I'm making some hot honey pizza at Tutta Bella.
It's not that hot. There's a little bit of spice to this.
But the bee's eyes are flaming.
The bee's eyes are flaming.
Plus, Val's visiting a local flower farm.
Oh. Your first one.
I'm so proud. All this and more today on Washington Grown. It's hard when you're as short as I am.
Yeah, sheep. Come and see Christy, sheep. Yeah, sheep.
Ta-da!
It's like I can taste the sunshine.
Cheers.
Bring him in. Bring him in.
Boom.
The calories are adding up.
No calories in this.
You don't get to do this every day.
Walk through Columbia City, and you might just find a little slice of Italy right here on the street. Tutabella is taking the techniques and flavors of Italy and combining them with Washington-sourced ingredients to create some of the best pizzas in Seattle.
Very warm, it's just very, family friendly.
You can always count on the pizza being really good. It's very authentic tasting.
The ambiance in Columbia City is just great.
Just the atmosphere. It's a nice neighborhood restaurant.
We just want for people to have fun.
Executive Chef Brian Goitex works hard to bring authentic Neapolitan pizza to guests, while also delivering a fun and energetic environment.
We want to be approachable. We want for you to enjoy the food, enjoy your friends, your family, and those that you're dining with.
Yeah.
You know, our restaurants, for the most part, are open and they're loud and there's a lot going on. And we're busy, and that's all by design.
The service is wonderful. People are always very friendly to us.
The wood-fired pizza is very nice.
Everybody eats very well when we come here.
It's a nice place to come and eat.
We just want to create a happy and energetic environment.
Yeah. Don't miss later in the show when Chef Brian and I make a special hot honey pizza.
So when we do this, you want to do a 6 or a 9? I generally do a swirl. Sorry.
That was not a 6 or a 9, it was a swirl.
We visit many gorgeous farms on this show, but none prettier than Xai C Farms in Snohomish. Mary Towle took over the farm from her parents, and between the three of them, they grow some of the most beautiful crops in Washington State.
I've always done different types of jobs. I had a different career path, and every time I always kind of came back here to help them, and then midsummer last summer, I decided, you know what, whether I'm ready or not, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it.
All in.
All in.
Mary and her parents sell their flowers at Pike Place Market. As refugees, Mary's parents brought their skills for growing with them.
Well, my parents, they're refugees from Laos, third world country, and so they literally had to kind of grow to eat, grow their food. And so when they came to America, not having the ability to speak English or to learn to read and write, the only thing they were really good at was growing things in their garden, So in the beginning, my parents were like, okay, we can grow vegetables. We grow vegetables all the time in our motherland, And then eventually they moved on to flowers because flowers make more money. They can sell for more.
Why do you think Washington is such a great place to grow flowers?
I think because our climate here, we are kind of the perfect climate to grow flowers in. We're not too extreme, not too hot, and not too cold, and we get a decent amount of rainfall.
Although Washington is one of the best places to grow gorgeous flowers, Mary has noticed some changes.
The season usually ends when the first frost gets here, which is usually, from what I remember as a kid, November-ish. But this year it seems like it's a little bit earlier and earlier in October. When it's hot, super hot.
Yes.
When it's raining, it just pours, you know?
Okay.
So it's like when it's extreme, it's extreme.
Right.
Climate change is real.
Now Mary's gonna let me pick sunflowers to make my own bouquet. What are some things I want to keep in mind when I'm harvesting?
Well, for sunflowers, you do want to make sure they haven't been bloomed all the way. Like, for example, something like this. Fully bloomed, ready to seed really soon.
Okay.
So you don't want to pick those. So more like this is good. Something like that.
It's just starting to open
right.
and flower.
Yeah, and then something like this is good too.
Okay.
Right?
So a good couple of feet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh!
Your first one.
I'm so proud. Time to turn these flowers into a bouquet.
Usually I start with the main.
You start with the main flower.
The main flower.
Okay.
And then I go for the tall one.
So then a tall one. Okay. Do you stay on the same color palette or do you work with
You can mix it however color palette you like.
Oh, really?
Yeah, however you like.
Oh, this is so much fun. This is relaxing. It feels like meditative almost.
It is, yes. When it comes to arranging, you kind of want them to look as natural as possible in the bouquet.
You will make it look so easy.
Seeing and watching what you put into the ground and just watching it come up and then harvesting it and then giving it to the people who can appreciate that. Just seeing it from the very start to like the very end is just really rewarding and satisfying.
Hey, let's go. Who knew that honey could come in so many different varieties? Well, the folks over at Ciola Honey, they have a different flavor for every season of the year, and I can't wait to put my sweet tooth to the test.
Owner Brad Jones takes his bees to different regions around the state, giving his honey unique flavor profiles.
Year to year, it's going to vary just depending on how much moisture you have, what the temperatures are. It's like wine because you will have a variance in flavor too. So we'll start with the lighter one.
The lighter one.
This honey was gathered in 2021 from Tukwila.
It's not as sweet as I thought it was going to be. I can imagine like a big field, like when I taste this.
It's got a little bit of a floral hint to it,
Now for the darker of the two, flavored from the pollen of the Cascade fireweed plant.
Ooh, that's what I'm expecting.
That's big, yeah.
It's rich. Oh man, I'm gonna take some out and see what the people around here have to say.
Let's start with the lighter honey.
It's gonna be messy.
Yeah, there you go.
That's really good.
It's like oranges. Kind of like a familiar undertone taste to it. It's kind of like you can taste the actual flowers on it.
And now for the fireweed honey.
So much darker.
I taste it right away. It's much sweeter. That one's like a little more tangy. Dark and woody and like light and citrusy.
They both taste like honey, right?
I like that one.
You like that one best?
I mean, I really do like the fireweed one though.
Yeah. Like this one I would like to savor and keep around.
Yeah.
And I feel like I could just eat spoonfuls of it by itself.
That's why they're small jars.
How long should a fresh bouquet of flowers last in your house? Stay tuned for the answer.
Coming up, I'm making Neapolitan pizza at Tutta Bella.
So when we do this, you want to do a 6 or a 9. I generally do a swirl. Sorry.
That was not a 6 or a 9. And we're in the kitchen at Second Harvest trying out some homemade granola bars.
A fresh bouquet of flowers should last between 5 to 7 days in your home. Some longer, some shorter.
We're back at Tutta Bella in Columbia City. Here, they're taking fresh, local ingredients and combining them with Neapolitan pizza-making techniques to bring Italy to the streets of Western Washington.
Neapolitans fiercely protected. They were the ones that originated pizza. They were the first ones to actually put a tomato onto wood-fired breads about 300 years ago.
Executive Chef Brian Goidix and his team not only make some delicious pizzas, they also work hard to keep a special Neapolitan certification. That, along with fresh, local ingredients, is a huge part of what makes the pizza so good.
I'd like to keep it as true as possible.
By using some of the locally grown ingredients, that make it taste better?
Oh yeah, it's one of the best places in the country for all kinds of foodstuffs.
It's light, but it's very authentic.
It looks like other pizzas, except when you bite into it.
You can feel the ingredients.
And the crust is so nice and thin too, you don't come away feeling like you just ate a phone book or something.
I've done countless hours of study with the master pizzaiolo in Napoli. So in theory, you know, I've trained with some of the best in the world.
Yeah.
They've all been incredibly giving with their knowledge and remind me that love is an ingredient. And if you don't love what you do, it will be subpar.
This is kind of the sort of pizza you'd expect to get if you were eating in a pizzeria in Italy.
Nobody else serves a pizza quite like this.
What are we going to make together today?
Today, we're going to make our next pizza special that's coming up. It's andouille with hot honey. Spicy honey, it's all the rage right now.
Cool.
In the world of pizza. It's magic.
It sounds magical.
It's delicious.
Yes.
Neapolitan dough, it's different than most other doughs, and that has to do primarily with the type of flour that's in it. So the flour that we use, it's a type 00, so it's a very fine grind.
Super fine.
The idea of what we want to do with this is we want to push all the air to the edges.
Okay.
We're going to cross our index fingers.
I'm having trouble just crossing my fingers.
This is the cornicione, the crust, the frame of the pizza. In Napoli is sacred. We're trying to fill this with as much air as we possibly can.
Making this type of pizza, it has to be done a specific way with specific ingredients, right?
Correct. 5 ingredients. There's water, there's flour, there's salt, there's yeast, and then the magic ingredient, love.
Love.
Because, you know, if you don't put love in your product, it's not going to be as good as it can be. This is the most difficult part of the whole pizza making process. I'm going to throw that back into my arm. There you go. We're going to give it a little tug. Up in the arm, back down.
Once the pizza is stretched out, we add some tomato sauce, then some fresh basil. Next, we add some fresh mozzarella and some ricotta cheese.
And this stuff is pretty sticky, so we generally use a spoon and kind of just splatter it on a little bit.
Splatter it all over the place.
Trying to keep it on the pizza instead of on us.
Then we add on some andouille sausage from Pike Place Market.
I tell all of our pizza makers to just, where it falls is pretty much where it's supposed to be. Do a nice drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. So when we do this, you want to do a 6 or a 9. I generally do a swirl. Sorry.
That was not a 6 or a 9, it was a swirl.
We finish the pizza off with some Pecorino Romano cheese, and then it's time for the oven.
These ovens they're built specifically for this style of pizza.
Okay.
They fire hot, so we're gonna be cooking at 800-900 degrees.
Wow.
These ovens get hot.
Only about 90 seconds later, the pizza is cooked. To finish it off, we drizzle on some hot honey.
This is from Urban Farm Northwest down in Pike Market. It's not that hot. There's a little bit of spice to this.
But the bee's eyes are flaming.
The bee's eyes are flaming. And then the honey itself, you know, it's kind of the rug that ties the room together. It'll help bring out the sweetness of the ricotta, and it complements the andouille really well.
And now my favorite part, trying the pizza.
This is good pizza. There's the honey.
There's the honey.
It's just right at the end.
Right at the end.
It's fresh and spicy.
It's all the flavors that we love. Salt and sugar and fat. I might actually have another piece.
So delicious.
For more recipes, farm visits, and more, visit wagrown.com. You may have heard of murder hornets, also known as Asian giant hornets. Although they don't pose any major threats to people, they can be dangerous to local honeybee populations, killing thousands and decimating hives that are good for agriculture and the ecosystems in Washington state. In 2020, the Washington State Department of Agriculture successfully found and eradicated the first hive found in the state. We'd like to thank the entire WSDA team for their help with this story.
Previously, when people asked me what I did for work, I used to have a big long speech about invasive species management, and now it's a lot easier because I can just say Asian giant hornet or have you heard of murder hornets?
All the media coverage brought attention to the hornet problem, and the hotline at the WSDA office lit up with potential hornet sightings.
Hi, we have a giant hornet. It's trapped in my shed right now.
Because I seen one go by the other day, and I was thinking, my, that's a big bumblebee. Then I got to thinking later on, that's not a bumblebee. It's got that orange color.
We got a lot of interesting suggestions from the public. We had folks suggesting we tie little napalm bombs to any hornets that we caught who could take it back to their nest and detonate the nest.
I have a lariat. I could throw a rope around one of them's neck and drag it in with my horse.
Even though most of these reports turned out to be false, the WSDA was very grateful for the help.
I would rather hear hundreds of reports that are just native insects that turn out to be nothing rather than miss the one that could turn out to be an Asian giant hornet and lead us to a nest.
All the support and information from the public, combined with the traps that were set, eventually brought the team some Asian giant hornet specimens. Using trackers attached to the hornets, they were able to find the first nest.
I was the one standing under the opening when it was found, and it was very gratifying that all of the hard work had finally paid off.
The team then wrapped the tree, vacuumed out some of the hornets, and took the tree back to the lab at Washington State University to open up the nest.
They had a nice cold room that we could keep locked, which turned out to be a good thing because it was full of hornets once we opened it up.
I forget exactly how much stuff was in it. I mean, I think there was 500 specimens in there.
We didn't expect to see so many living hornets, and so I think our calm plans kind of went out the window as we found ourselves in this mad rush to ensure that hornets didn't just fly all over the place. Granted, they were cold and they weren't moving very fast, and we doused them with carbon dioxide, but you know, you don't want to take chances.
It's really impressive to see the work that our team was doing, and to see them finally find the nest was really wonderful.
Coming up, I'm jumping into a bee suit to get up close and personal with some bees.
Yeah.
Do they smell fear?
You know, they communicate by smell. Okay. And so does fear smell?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Okay.
We're on my farm in beautiful eastern Washington in mid-October, and we're standing in my perennial bed where I also grow some tender annuals. We're here to look at cover crop. So cover crop is something that you grow in your garden that isn't necessarily for food, but it is definitely beneficial for your soil. So you're basically growing a plant to build your soil and suppress your weeds. So right here, I have a cover crop called Phacelia. It's this green ferny plant that's down here low on the ground. Phacelia is beautiful, and it flowers these gorgeous little purple flowers, which pollinators absolutely love. But why it's good for my soil is it's fast growing, it covers the soil completely, which helps suppress weeds because it doesn't allow the weed seed to germinate because it germinates first, which is awesome. Anything that is out there that is a passive way that cuts back on the amount of hand weeding or even weeding with a tool that I have to do, I am all for it. If I decide, oh, I don't really want Phacelia here, I'm ready to plant my next crop here, I can just mow it down and then plant right into it and it'll be fine. Growing a cover crop isn't complicated, so don't let it intimidate you. It's a fun thing to try in the garden, and if you don't like it, you mowed it down. You don't have to do it again, but your soil will be beautiful, so give it a try.
It's not easy to find anything that works as hard as a farmer, but honeybees managed to do it. Today we're north of Reardon near a canola field to meet Bud, a beekeeper who travels with his team and his bees to different fields to pollinate crops for farmers.
What we have here on each pallet is 4 separate colonies. This stack of boxes is 1 colony of bees.
Okay. How many bees are in a colony?
You know, that's a great question. Each of these colonies probably has north of 50,000, 60,000 bees.
And I gather by that thing that you're going to open one up.
I was going to open them up, yeah. if we're okay to see inside, yeah. Yeah.
Do they smell fear?
You know, they communicate by smell. Okay. And so does fear smell?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Okay.
They get 2 products from a flower. They'll get a pollen, which is their protein source, and they'll get nectar, which is their carbohydrate source. And when that nectar comes in, it has a really high moisture content. And they need to spread that out and fan it and dehydrate it down to make the honey. As I pull this frame out, you will see this nectar that's being stored in there.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So it's very, very runny compared to normal honey, and it's just because of the moisture content is very high. And you can see really these bees are really happy. I mean, waving my hand over them. Normally, if they were agitated at all, they would be making a loud buzz and they would be bouncing off our bales.
We like happy bees.
We do like happy bees.
Months later, we revisited Bud and his bees in a completely new location. Turns out they've been busy.
Want to hold that? Remember how heavy those were?
Oh my gosh. That's a lot heavier.
Yeah.
How much do you think that weighs?
Probably 10 pounds.
Yeah.
So there'll be approximately 2 gallons worth of honey in this box.
This is a little bit different of a setting than when we saw you last out in the canola fields. So why the woods?
After the canola crop is done and we're done pollinating, then we try to spread our bees out into smaller yards and try to make a honey crop that is as pure and as clean as we can possibly make. But we've also found it to be very good for our bees. As we pull them out of that agricultural setting and we get them in a more diverse habitat, their diet drastically changes. They're now pulling pollen from a variety of sources.
So this is their vacation.
This is their vacation. This is their Hawaii.
Yeah.
You can see the bees are not agitated. They're whatever honey's left on my finger, they're thinking they need to take that. I grew up when my dad had bees that my favorite thing was just take a finger full of that honey.
So just dig down. Oh,
dig down.
It's warm and gooey.
You're gonna wish you had a warm roll.
That's the best.
So wonderful flavor, very light texture. The nectar source that the bees are collecting will drastically change the flavor and the color profile of honey. I guess wine is probably similar. I'm not a wine connoisseur, but this honey is going to be largely knapweed honey, which is from here. It's a little darker, has kind of a nutty flavor.
You need to have like a honey tasting, like of all the different kinds.
Yes. So our honey is bottled by My Local and it's labeled under Artie's Harvest.
Okay.
Knowing where their product comes from, knowing that it's sustainably produced, knowing that we're environmentally friendly. All that stuff is very important to us as a producer.
Yeah.
It's important to me. I have 3 daughters and I want the future to look bright for them.
Welcome to In the Kitchen. We're here at Second Harvest in Spokane, and I have my lovely tasters with me, Tomas and Chef Laurent. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure.
It's good to be back.
This episode is about bees, and we had such an incredible experience learning so much about bees that I had no idea. Got up close and personal. Nobody got stung, I don't think.
No, and
right?
well, no, we didn't. And I was actually excited on the shoot that you saw with Christy out in the forest. I decided, as I was holding the camera, to just go without a bee suit.
Yeah.
Because, they say as long as you don't, make them upset, then you'll be fine. And sure enough, there I was wandering without a bee suit. Trust me, my heart was beating.
Yeah.
But they were crawling on me and on my camera, but I never got stung. It was a fascinating experience.
Yeah,
for sure.
it really was fascinating. It's amazing. We need them, and we love them, right? We love the honey, and we love what they do for our crops.
Never had a close encounter with a bee eyes, but I cook with honey a lot, and I must say it's my to-go sweet addition to any kind of recipes. Honey is very important, and it's sustainable.
And our bees are very important too.
Yeah.
So we're gonna make some granola bars today.
Ooh, okay,
and the granola
nice.
bars have honey in them, so let's take a look at how they're made. We have our lovely granola bars here with honey and nuts and raisins.
And it's well presented for a granola bar, right?
Yeah,
look at that.
For a
That's
granola bar,
beautiful.
you're right.
No.
Because usually granola bars are like put them in a bag, throw them in your purse or whatever.
They're good. They're moist. I was expecting something very dry.
They're really chewy.
Oh, they're
good. They're good. So what are some other things that you like to use honey?
Well,
like dishes.
Personally, already, when I drink my coffee, my tea, instead of using granulated sugar, I use honey. I think it's it's healthier. But after, in cooking, you can use honey so many ways. Mostly in sauces, or like, for example, I have a barbecue sauce that I make, and I use honey in it.
Having the opportunity to actually eat honey straight out of the hive.
Yeah, that
where you just like stick your finger in there and it was warm. And it was so good.
Yeah, there's nothing
And you
like
had the little
natural
wax, but it was just,
That's not farm to table, that's farm to mouth.
It was great. Well, this granola bar is delicious.
They are.
Some of the comments that we've received, Carrie Lou says, wonderful recipe, thank you. I decreased the amount of honey slightly and added a ½ cup of peanut butter and a ½ cup of chopped peanuts for a crunchier. That sounds good.
Put some dry cranberries instead of raisins. I mean, different things that you can
get
add.
very
You make your own granola.
Well, we want to thank iHarvey for this recipe for granola bars and allrecipes.com. And you can find this recipe on our website and check out our Facebook page and our Instagram page. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
To get the recipe for these homemade granola bars, visit wagrown.com.
Our farmers are doing everything they can to keep our honeybees happy and healthy. Now, if you want to do your part, you can plant some pollinator-friendly flowers this spring. That's it for this episode of Washington Grown. Thanks for watching.